Hello everyone, I am back with another video. It is me, Chef James MacInnis, and we are reacting to Happy Bellyfish. This prawn curry is next level, secret ingredient revealed. I did one Happy Bellyfish video about 5 or 6 videos back. I'll make sure to link it above. Happy Bellyfish. It's a bit of a sleeper channel. They're small. You might not have heard about them. They've got only 259,000 subscribers at the time I am recording this. Their total channel views are 43.7 million. You look at somebody like Ranveer Brar, I think he's got over 1 billion views. Ranveer Barar's awesome. We love watching him on this channel. But sometimes it's good to get other opinions. And Happy Bellyfish, I'm really interested. I like the way that they are showcasing things. So with that said, we're going to do a quick message from this month's sponsor, and then we're going to roll right into this. Today's video is sponsored by Out of Air. And who are Out of Air? Well, they're a company that makes vacuum seal bags. I'd never heard of them before they reached out to me to do a partnership, and I was a little leery at first, but I said, send me some product, we'll see if I like it. They sent me some stuff. They sent me a nice big box, and it had in it bags, rolls of different lengths. So I pulled it out, I looked at it, I compared it to the vacuum seal bags that came with my vacuum sealer. The ones that I've been buying at the store as refills. And this stuff is thicker. These are 4 mil bags. The stuff that comes with the vacuum seals, those are 3 mil bags. 4 would be, I guess, 25% thicker than the 3 mil bags. And why does that added thickness even make a difference? Well, I reached into my freezer and I grabbed 3 random items that I vacuum sealed. 2 of them had developed pinholes and lost their vacuum. So now my food's susceptible to freezer burn. And what's freezer burnt food? Garbage. And what happens when we throw garbage out of our freezer out? We lose money. I had to go to work. I had to work hard. I had to get my paycheck. I had to go buy food. And you know what I hate? Is throwing food out when there's no reason to be throwing it out, because of failed pinholes and freezer burnt food. So this thicker bag, less likely to do that. As you can see, it just loads up into a regular vacuum sealer, whichever kind you have. You can put your food in there, you can hit the vacuum button, make a seal, write a label on it, and toss it in your freezer. And later on when you want to enjoy it, you can just thaw it out, or even take it and throw it directly into a sous vide. If you want to try them out for yourself, go ahead, use the promo code down below. You'll get a 10% discount and I'll get a 10% commission.
I told you can make the best prawn curry of your life in your own kitchen. Today we'll be making a Malabar prawn curry straight from Kerala, God's own country, featuring a secret ingredient you have probably never even heard of. I'm Shrikant Singh and welcome to our channel Happy Bellyfish. Before we dive into the recipe, let's talk about that special ingredient, Malabar tamarind. It's locally known as kudampuli. If you have it, great. If not, don't worry, I'll share a substitute. This spice is easily available in India and in Sri Lanka, but outside India, especially in the US, it's mostly sold in capsules as a weight loss supplement. So please do not add these capsules to the dish. It does not work that way. I will leave a link to the right product in the description. The main ingredient here is, of course,
that's some good advice. Be careful if a food can be used in medicinal purposes, don't think you can just put that powderized medicine into your food as a substitute, because there's probably more stuff in it, or it's been refined in a way where they're trying to focus in on one of the chemical chains inside of it to emphasize, like, for example, he said weight loss. So there's something in it, maybe, maybe not, depends how well it's been studied, that people think causes weight loss. So whatever that is has been refined and everything else has been pushed to the side, and that's been put into a capsule for a weight loss pill. Now, everything that's pushed to the side might just be the flavor that you're looking for. So you're not going to get any culinary benefit out of using that capsule. That is great advice.
Curry after all. But you can also use shrimps and other types of fish in the same curry base. It all works. I'm going to use fresh prawns for this recipe, but the big question here is whether to use the ones with the shells or without. Well, either one of them can be used, but it's easier to use the prawns without the shell, right? It makes eating a distraction-free and pleasant experience. But what is important is deveining. It is something that you have to do unless you want an upset stomach the next day. The more convenient option is to use frozen prawns. You have to thaw them by placing it in a bowl of tap water at room temperature for around 10 to 15 minutes. But nothing comes close to fresh prawns when it comes to the taste and the...
That looks like something he made himself. Like when we buy frozen, I'll just say shrimp here. We buy frozen shrimp, they're in a bag, but they're not stuck together. They're all loose. So you can just pull out what you need. We also sell, you can also buy frozen shrimp both with and without the shell. Obviously a little more expensive without the shell because somebody's gone through and done that for you.
Prawns, they also cost you significantly less than the frozen prawns. So let me show you now how to clean and devein the prawn for this dish. All you have to do is hold the prawn firmly and twist off its head and peel the shell. It's not running anywhere, it's already dead, it won't bite you. So peel away the shell like this, and if you wish you can also leave the tail, but I'm removing it completely. Use a knife or scissors to gently slit along the back. Now look for the thin dark vein, lift it with the tip of a knife and pull it out. It's not that hard, and honestly after one or...
So the proper industry term is devein, and you're going to think, if you don't know, you're thinking, oh, vein, blood. No. It's the intestinal tract, and that is poop. It's not a vein, it's the intestine. And if there's anything dark in it, it's poop. Now, don't worry if you don't see the poop. So when the shrimp come up from the nets, and they pull them out onto the boats, they don't feed them while they're waiting to process them. So a lot of those shrimp will have their final poop before they get processed. So it's like a 50-50 whether they're totally evacuated or not.
You will actually not be disgusted so much. Rinse under cold water and they are ready to cook. But some people want the shell to be there. The prawns just looks bigger in the curry, and it also tastes much better and much more juicier. So if you want to devein the prawns with the shell, then again twist the head and clean the insides. Then take a toothpick, and the second ridge from the bottom, you have to prick it there and then pull the dark vein out.
So we also, one of our options for buying them, like I said earlier, with or without the shell, but even with the shell, they call it easy peel. And I don't know if a machine has gone through and cut the shell across the back of the spine and already deveined it. We get easy peel deveined. So you could just take some small sharp scissors and just run across the back of the shrimp and open the shell, devein it like you did with the paring knife.
We'll marinate them with some basic ingredients. For marinating these 500 grams of prawns, add half teaspoon of turmeric. This will add some color and it works as a natural disinfectant. Half a teaspoon of salt. This will enhance the flavor. And juice of half a lemon, or about 1 tablespoon of it. This adds a lot of freshness to the prawn. But marination is optional. If you love the strong seafood aroma, you want to feel that you are at the beach without being there, then you can skip this step. So that's a simple marination, and remember that when you marinate prawns, you have to do it for a very short time, literally just 10 minutes. Now we'll be prepping the ingredients.
That's a good tip. In French cuisine, we have a dish, it's ceviche, and that is shrimp or prawn. You have to use small ones that are just cooked from the acid of the lemon.
Very base. Use 2 medium red onions, which are finely sliced. In the original authentic recipe, shallots are preferred for its sweeter taste, but it's hard to find. It's not available easily everywhere. So if you don't have them, then onions will work. And a pro...
See, and that is something that I mention every once in a while about regions where you are. Here, every grocery store has shallots. I can go anywhere from the discount, less fancy grocery store chains up to the fancy grocery store chains, and they'll all have shallots. That is a staple in Canadian grocery stores. 15 years ago, it was hit or miss, but now, no, you expect it. If it's not there, you'll go shop somewhere else. They have to have it.
A home cook here that if slicing onions make you fear for your fingers, then use a cheese grater and grate it coarse. Now, will an onion paste not do? No, we don't want it to become that fine smoothie kind of a gravy. We want some texture, some coarseness in it. Now take 2 ripe tomatoes that are finely chopped. Make sure that you don't leave it in large chunks because then it will take forever to cook and you will have large chunks of tomato in your curry. You will need 1 cup of these chopped tomatoes. Avoid using, actually do not use canned or pureed tomato paste here. It will not work for this recipe. Grate 1 teaspoon of ginger and 1 teaspoon of garlic, fresh. Do not use the ginger garlic paste that you get in the market. It has this vinegar and other thickeners in it. This is like your homemade aromatherapy. Just grate some garlic every day and it will keep all the unwanted people and the bad energies away. Take 2 green chilies, break the stem and make a slit. Remove the seeds and this way you can control the spice level. When the curry is cooked, you can also remove them and save the curry from becoming a fireball. To add a distinct earthy and bitter flavor, I will also be using some fresh curry leaves. Alright, now we are all ready to start cooking. Heat a cooking pot.
Okay, curry leaves. I think this is the first video I've seen with curry leaves. This sounds like a contradiction to me. So if there's an ingredient called curry leaf, how do you make curry without curry leaf? You're gonna really have to do a better job of explaining to me what curry means, because I obviously know something's getting lost in translation, because I know what we think curry means, and that is not what curry means. I'm gonna need some help here, because I've got an understanding. I think, curry is not... It's not... like it's a generic term from what I'm getting. But, and I've asked you before to tell me the difference between curry and masala. Some people have put that in the comments. But I mean, like, if I were making marinara sauce, and I had an ingredient called marinara leaf, and 20 marinara recipes in, you see me use marinara leaf, you would ask where it was in every other marinara sauce before this. So help me out with this curry leaf.
You can use stainless steel, glazed cast iron or traditional Kerala earthenware, which is called as mean chatti, like this one. This is widely used in Kerala, especially for making fish curry. I will also leave a link in the description if you wish to purchase one. Add 2 tablespoons of coconut oil for an authentic Kerala touch. When the oil is hot, we will temper the spices. Add 1 teaspoon of brown mustard seeds, half a teaspoon of fenugreek seeds, and let them crackle. Add 2 pieces of cassia stick, each one 1 inch big, and 1 star anise. So star anise can be substituted with fennel seeds. You can add half a teaspoon of that, while cassia can be replaced with cinnamon stick. Saute the...
Okay, and that star anise replaced with fennel seeds. That's a good tip, and that is proof that there is more than one way to skin a cat, because that is the black licorice flavor, or anisette, and spice-wise, you have fennel seed, you have star anise, but you could use chopped fennel. You could use, and I mean like the bulb, you could put that in with some of, say, diced onion. You could blend in some fennel there. You could use the herb portion of the fennel at the top. You could also swap this out for some Zambuca or a star anise or an anise liqueur. So there are at least 6 or 7 different ways that you can put black licorice flavor into an item.
Minutes, and add the sliced onions and saute for 2 minutes. Add the ginger paste and the garlic paste and saute for another 2 minutes until it's fragrant. So we do not want to brown the onions here. In this particular recipe, it must just turn translucent, it should turn soft. That's when the raw...
So we use the term sweating your onions. You can sweat onions, carrots, celery, you can sweat vegetables. We would use the term sweat your onions.
Onion would have faded, and you can move to the next step, which is to to add the chopped tomatoes. Once you've added the tomatoes, saute it for 2 more minutes. You need to cook it until the tomato becomes pulpy and soft. In my recipes, I showcase a variety of spices. Some are familiar to you, some may be unique, some might actually pique your curiosity. So if you want to explore them further, join my spice course or download the free spice guide. And since our local fishermen aren't sponsoring this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. I promise you that you will love this recipe and all other recipes that we have on our channel. Lower the flame now and we will add the spices. Add 1 teaspoon of chili powder. I'm using Kashmiri red chili powder here, so it's not too hot. But if you have a chili powder that's hotter, then you can reduce the amount of chili powder you're using. Add half a teaspoon of turmeric powder and 2 teaspoons of coriander powder. Toss in some curry leaves. And
you'll notice that some of the stuff going in here is already on the shrimp for the marinade. So he's layering flavors. He's putting some thought into this dish, and he's using the ingredients in a layering fashion to really emphasize different aspects of their flavor.
That you had slit and removed the seeds. Add 1 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, which is a must in almost every Kerala seafood curries. Add this Malabar tamarind now. So this gives a smoky sourness flavor to the dish. Its best substitute that I can think of is tamarind fruit. It's also sour. And if you're using tamarind, then soak it in water and then extract the juice out of it, which is basically by squeezing the tamarind out, and the water that you have remaining, you can add it to the curry. And let's say you don't have either of this, Malabar tamarind or just the normal tamarind, then you can skip it. The outcome will not disappoint you. It won't be the same, but
so at our grocery stores, I can get tamarind paste.
Still survive. Add half a cup of water and cook for around 3 more minutes. This will make the curry a little more consistent. It will make it much more smoother.
Oh, I'm cutting them off a lot. So this is something we would do in French cuisine. Instead of adding water, we would have taken the shrimp shells and we would have boiled those. We made a shrimp stock. Seafood stocks, fish stocks, they generally take about 45 minutes to prepare. You'd put all your shells into a pot with onions, celery, and you may have heard of what we call the mirepoix, the Holy Trinity, or whatever, onion, carrot, celery. But carrot will color it in an undesirable fashion. So for fish or seafood, we take that out for leek. So you would put onion, celery, leek. 50% onion, quarter celery, quarter leek in your pot. You would dice those up finely because it's only a 45-minute stock. You would dice those up finely. You would put them in a pot and sweat them. Add wine. Considering what's going on with this dish, that's a neutral recipe. If you wanted to make this more specific to this curry, in the stock you might put some fennel. Like I mentioned earlier, dicing it up with onions. And we call it a bouquet garni or a sachet. A bouquet garni and a sachet are basically the same things. You take your herbs, hard spices, and in a sachet you put it in cheesecloth, tie it up, and drop it in so you can easily remove it. And a bouquet garni is the same thing done with leek leaves. The green part of the stem. Now you usually leave that in a French stock for about 45 minutes. So in a seafood stock, you might not go through that trouble. You might just throw everything in. But in a 8-hour beef stock or a 5-hour chicken stock, it's a way that you can quickly yank it out. So we would put the shrimp shells into the water, bring it to a boil, drop it to a simmer, let it go for 45 minutes, strain everything out. There'd be probably, say you're going to make a liter of it, there'd also be like a liter of 750 mils of water, 250 mils of white wine. That would be you'd also you would cook the shells. You wouldn't put them in raw. So you would sweat your vegetables, you would throw the shells in, you would steam them with the wine or sherry, you would add the water, you'd bring it to a boil, simmer it for 45 minutes, strain everything out. You've got 2 options here. You can discard the shells or you could put the shells back in and hit them with an immersion blender. and you can pulverize the shrimp shells, and then pass it through a sieve, and whatever doesn't pass through the sieve, you're just going to eat, and that's going to add. It's really going to fortify the fact that this is a shrimp stock. Whew. Okay, so with all that out of the way, that's how I would westernize this dish. I would use a shrimp stock as opposed to the water.
To which we will add the prawns. But remember, you must just add the prawns, not the liquids that collected in the plate in which you had marinated the prawn. It's quite sour, it has a lot of lemon in it. So just add the prawns. Add another half a cup of water and stir gently. So if you have used fish instead of prawns, you must be very careful when you're stirring it. In fact, when they cook fish curry, they twirl the pan itself by holding it so that you don't disturb the fish. The fish meat is quite.
You can even see that just dropping his prawns in there, where he cut the backs open to devein them, you can see that the acid from his lemons has already started to cook it because of the way that it's peeled over.
Take apart. Now cover the pan and cook it for a further 3 to 4 minutes. Don't overcook the prawns, otherwise they will become quite rubbery, and please resist the urge to pluck a prawn each time to taste it until there's none left. Some people do that. They keep tasting and eating everything while they're cooking, and then they tell the guests they're not hungry anymore. Their stomach is full with aroma. So yeah, leave the prawns in the pot. Now it's time for us to pour in the coconut milk. So this is a thin coconut milk, and if you're using coconut cream, which might be thicker, then you have to dilute it by adding half a cup of water to 1 cup of coconut cream. So the consistency of this coconut milk that I'm using will be very similar to a full fat dairy milk, if you have seen one. These days, all good things are not available in the supermarket. That's the big problem. Stir and taste, and if you wish to add some salt, then add around 1 teaspoon of it. Keep in mind that we had marinated the prawns with some salt already at the beginning. You have to be careful not to bring the coconut milk to a boil. Just cover the pot and let it simmer for around 2 to 3 minutes and then turn off the heat. The heat should be on low. In some recipes, they also temper it towards the end with some dry chili, mustard seeds and curry leaves. I don't do it personally because I feel it's just adding some more oil to get some extra bit of flavor. You can garnish with some fresh coriander leaves. It's optional, but it adds a nice floral touch to the dish, and some fresh curry leaves as well. Once you turn off the flame or the heat, keep the pot covered and let it rest for a few minutes. And there you have it, Kerala style Malabar prawn curry, rich, tangy, infused with the magic of Malabar tamarind. And the best way to enjoy it is with rice, not with naan or roti. It doesn't work with that combination. And while any rice would do, like most people eat basmati rice these days, I don't know why, it tastes best with parboiled rice or Kerala matta rice. It's low GI, it's very rich in fiber, it digests slowly, and if you eat it for lunch, you will have a very good afternoon nap. But one last thing to remember before you stow away that prawn curry that you have made, if you're going to have it for dinner, let's say you made it at lunchtime, you have to remember to remove the Malabar tamarind from the curry. All of it, everything that you have added. Otherwise, the dish will become so sour that you won't be able to eat it. The other way to use this Malabar tamarind is to soak it in water in a jar, and you can put this jar in a refrigerator. So each time you want to use this Malabar tamarind in your recipe, you can just use the sour water and you can refill the bottle to use it again. You can also drink this water like a health tonic. It has several health benefits. It's anti-inflammatory, it reduces your appetite, so if you're trying to lose weight, it might help. It also boosts immunity. So if you have loved this recipe, then don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe for...
So there you have it, Happy Bellyfish's next level curry prawns. My takeaway, what I like from this is, one, for some reason, I just prefer all of these style of food on rice. I'm not a big fan of the naan bread and like grabbing stuff with it or making like a sandwich, I guess. I don't know, like a taco. I prefer most things on rice like this, so the fact that this can only go on rice because it is a little on the runny side, that's a plus for me. That's a plus. We discussed during the video things how if I had to westernize it, I would with the fish stock. You know, it was a good presentation. I'm not really sure, you know, what I can say in this conclusion that I did not say during the video because I did talk a lot. So I'm just going to keep this this conclusion short. So I liked it. I give it a thumbs up. And for this week, I've been Chef James, and you've been you. See you next week.